Steve is probably preparing for another trip to that Tower of Power known as DC and all in that line. But yours truly is here, ready to man the ship, as folks like to say, and keep things running and all in that kind of way. And definitely we'll see about a lot of things going on in the world and what's happening in the world on this particular day. And of course, I've got some esteemed panelists that'll be coming with me, even though I do have some other guests that'll be joining us in coming up days and all in that space. As a matter of fact, I think Deb Peterson, the politician, might be joining us from California on Monday or Tuesday. So I'm looking forward to that. I know others are looking forward to that as well. She's been with us about 2 or 3 times and always gives some great insights, including about the accountability of politicians and all in that kind of space. And of course, we've got some interesting news stories that are going on. That war in Ukraine is continuing. Some threats have been made, including by Mr. Putin, as to what he may do next, and all in that kind of way. And we may get into some of that conversation. And of course, we do know that some key positions were given in the House, including some that might have surprised some folks, because Marjorie Taylor Greene got a key position, as did one of the other ones that had been censured earlier as well. So we may have some conversations around that. But on the other side, one of the leading activists in the world has been arrested again, that being Greta Thunberg. So we might have some conversations in that space as well. And of course, there was a Muslim professor that is suing a small university over some things that they felt that they should be allowed to do that maybe they weren't allowed to do. And I'm sure that that may come up in some of our conversations as well. So all kinds of things are happening in the world. And of course, we're going to get to some of these topics. And of course, I'm glad to be here, and I'm going to bring up a lot of our folks here. So I think I'll bring up Lee Newton Rhodes. And of course, I've got the boss, Nick Palveda, here in the house as well. And at some point, Shaquille may be joining us also. So I'm going to bring in Lee Newton Rhodes, who's looking at the public debt ceiling, and it's going up in all of that. It just keeps going up in a way. It feels like Superman sometimes. It just keeps going up in a way. And at some point, maybe it'll be some control going on in that space. I'm also going to bring up, like I said, the boss who's coming at us from, I believe, Las Vegas or something like that. He's actually out of town and doing some amazing things in that part of the world. And maybe he'll share with us some of that, what that's all about. I guess the first thing that I'm going to get to before we get to the debt and maybe some of the other issues is I was actually watching and listening on the news, and a lot of these corporate types are saying, hey, wait a minute. Y'all have been having way too much fun working from home. Y'all got to come into work at least 4 days out of the week. And there have been some major corporations that are pretty much sound like they're trying to force the hand and get folks to come back to work on a regular basis. I know that the head of Tesla has said that. I think the head of Disney has said that. A number of other heads have said that as well. They're saying that, we're not sure about this whole staying at home, not having a collaboration and all in that kind of space. We need you here in the office so we can actually see what's going on, make sure that y'all are collaborating and doing all the things that corporations want you to do. And it sounds like they're trying to force the hand of those that are in the remote space or in the hybrid space. And I've read of some that have said they want as many as 4 days of the week, not the full 5-day work week, but as many as 4 days of the week actually at work in the office. So I was just wondering both of your thoughts about this and whether this is something that corporations need to be doing more of and all in that line. Like I said, when I read that last night, I was going like, hey, I kind of enjoy my remote work. And I do know that Measurement Incorporated, which is great, the end of the year test, we will start back. Well, one of my cohorts, who is actually one of the team leaders, will start on this coming Monday, and I'm supposed to start back the following Monday. So, and of course, the hours are flexible, which means it won't interfere with this lovely thing that I'm doing as well, which is a great thing, all in that space. Part of the reason that I like the flex hours of hybrid and all that. But we've also heard Steve talk about how the government has opened up. He's got regular hours at work and all of this. So he might even be the victim of some of this regular work hours and all in that space. So, Lee and Nick, and I'm going to bring in Dan as well. What are your thoughts about this notion of more and more folks having to go back to the regular work job?
Oh, can you hear me, Mark?
I can hear you.
Okay, great, because I'm in the land of losers, otherwise known as Las Vegas, for those people who are here, and it really is losers. But the answer is yes and no. There's a lot of work you don't need to be in the office for. It's just the name of the game. And then there's a lot of work that you do need to meet with people. So it's not like people are going to be more productive if they're in the office. The other thing is, if you're a workaholic like some of us, you tend to work even after hours. So whether I'm in an office or out of an office, it really doesn't matter. Or right now in Las Vegas, so I'm going to be doing appointments today from Las Vegas. It's just the way it is.
Actually, going to put your phone sideways so we can see in widescreen. I noticed that
really?
he's on a trip to Vegas, and he's so horrified hearing that I hosted a show yesterday that he's actually taken time out of his trip to Vegas just to come on here and make sure that the show's still surviving.
Actually, you're correct. I actually saw that yesterday. And you know what? You had hundreds and thousands of viewers, on LinkedIn. And I was depressed because I was going, this is LinkedIn, which is not really our big distribution point. And I said, what are all these people doing watching the bloody Aussie? And the Aussie was hosting the show. I thought this is going to be a disaster beyond biblical proportions because the Aussie is getting good ratings in an American show. So
that's right. There is a reason why, since this network's inception, I have been consistently the most popular person on this show. More popular, Nick, than you and Mark put together when we last met, right?
Well, anyway, it's creating real serious problems. That
we can't see you at all, by the way, Nick.
Nick you
don't have a camera at all.
Yeah, you tried to adjust
Nick, you turned your camera off.
Yeah.
I did? Okay, just a minute. This technology is not for me.
Yeah, like all you had to do, Nick, was like go get your phone like this and go like that. That was the change.
There's Shaq. There is a button on the bottom to stop camera. You must touch the stop camera function.
Yeah,
really? Oh, great.
Next to the mute button.
Next to the mute button.
Wow.
There you go.
Wow.
Now just turn the camera sideways. Nick.
Just make sure screen rotation's on, and then just do this.
Okay.
Like that.
There you go.
There you go.
When you get older like me, this technology stuff isn't really for me. So anyway, but yeah, I'm right now broadcasting from the land of losers in Las Vegas. It's
I won in Vegas.
Oh well, yeah, that's true. I'm glad you're not in Vegas. Otherwise, you're part of the land of
losers.
Nick, and
Nick, I want to correct.
This is really great. The people here are donating to corporate America in droves downstairs. The casinos are all full. The betting palaces are full, and I just can't wait to buy stock in MGM and Caesars because they're just collecting all the money from the poor people who don't have anything better to do with it except drop it on the casinos. So that can solve the national debt, by the way. I already figured out how to do it, Lee. What we do is the United States government needs to take over the casinos, take over the lottery, and run that. And then we can use those funds to pay off the national debt.
That would be the worst possible idea ever. The government screws everything up. Politicians screw everything up. Donald Trump couldn't even run it. Could you imagine if the government was to be in charge of these things? Look at the odds you have with the lotto.
Don't tell me that's a bad idea.
The government would
they already run the lottery. They make millions off the lottery. The states own the lottery.
But do you know how much more money they would make if the odds were reasonable? If the odds of you winning were reasonable? All the lottery is a tax on stupid people.
That's exactly correct. But see, that's a Darwinian theory of capital evolution. Okay, the stupid people will pay down our national debt by creating a national lottery, which everybody will want to. They'll volunteer to pay the tax. We don't need the IRS anymore. Get rid of the IRS. You have a national lottery. Stupid people come in and play it, give their money away, and we use that money to fund and pay out the national debt, just like we use it to actually fund state governments today. The solution is right in our hands.
The problem with your theory here, Nick, is that there's so many stupid people.
It's not a theory. It works.
What they'll do is they'll all get together and they'll come after my money and say, well, we lost all of our money at the
they don't even need Shaquille. No. They don't even look, Shaquille. They don't even need to tax you anymore. They don't need to tax you. Do you know? I'm going to tell you, this is a true story. In the great state of Georgia, they passed a law to use the lottery funds to pay for college education free college education to all state high school graduates who graduated 3.0 or better. My son went to Georgia Tech, 4 years, got his engineering degree, paid nothing in tuition because the state lottery paid for everything.
Sorry, can I just get this? I just want to make sure I've understood things here correctly. The trust fund baby, who's a Democrat, who constantly lectures me about why the government should tax the rich more, sent his son to Georgia from North Carolina in order to take advantage of the Georgian taxpayer.
Exactly. But what I'm telling you, Shaquille, and I'm telling everybody out there that complains about student loans, you're stupid. You send your kids to school the senior year in high school in Georgia. You get to go to the university. If you get a 3.0, you get to go free tuition, sometimes even room and board, to the University of Georgia, free tuition to Georgia Tech, Georgia Southern, University of North Georgia, Georgia State, you name it. All you have to do is do a 3.8. So there's no excuse for worrying about having to pay for tuition when, frankly, it's free. And you know how it's funded, Shaquille? The state lottery. Now, they passed that law in Florida, too. But you know what happened? The Florida legislature, at the last minute, stole the money, seriously, and put it into their general fund. Seriously, that's what happened.
Nick, hold on a second.
That's never happened before.
Nick, hold on a second. I want to understand something. Nick, I want to hold on something. You said that this is in Georgia, so I don't know yet that they are considering. I'm sure that they are, because they're in the about to be 8th and 9th grade or something along those lines. But if I'm hearing you correctly, because you know there's this whole concept of being a Morehouse man. Morehouse is a HBCU that's in Georgia. So should I send my nephews, if my brother wants to go that way, down to Morehouse because they will get some nice little tuition because it's in Georgia?
Yes, if Morehouse is a state college, okay, then they would go to Morehouse free, okay? It exists right now, and smart people know that. So we packed our bags from Florida, moved to Georgia, and tuition free at Georgia Tech.
The question is, however these things are funded, the tax system that you have is deplorable. I'm sure that you can find many good things that you can do with the tax dollars. The fact that the lottery was used in this way, whatever. But the idea that the government would be able to run Las Vegas better. Las Vegas is a competitive place. They have great shows, great food. Come on in. We'll give you a lobster.
It's not run that great. What are you talking about? Have you been to the Rio? Hey, Shaquille, it's not run that great. Your capitalism craziness doesn't work even here.
My room, I had a separate section with a massage room. I never used it. There was that. I had a gorgeous
No. Your capitalistic craziness, okay? Let me tell you something. Here's the reality. The Rio, which is run by your favorite capitalist, is basically a dog casino right now. There are over 1,000 people that are moles here. You probably don't even know what a mole is. But if you ever come to Las Vegas and you go down to the sewers, there are 1,000 people or more living in the sewers, homeless in Las Vegas.
Why is that my problem?
Crime is out of control. All right, so
why is that my problem?
Look, good leaders, no matter if they're in government or not in government, are good leaders. So to sit there and say, well, all the people in government are bad and all the people in corporate America are good, that's just totally garbage.
No. What I'm saying, Nick, is you end up with things like a moral hazard, right? When Vancouver, up in British Columbia, Canada, decided that they were going to relax some of the rules on homeless people, do you know what happened? Because they didn't want to be locking all these people up. What happened was that people from all over Canada went to Vancouver. When California and Washington State decided that they weren't going to make vagrancy a crime anymore, especially considering California's weather, what did you end up with? We ended up with the masses, the great unwashed, that sort of popped into California and thought that lifestyle there would be really nice there on the streets. So, business owners and the public at large employ government to do a specific job. And cleaning up the streets, being a street sweeper, is about the level of quality that you could expect from politicians. That's about as good as they're going to get. Okay, so they should be fixing those problems and leaving the rest of us who earn money and work hard to enjoy aren't
we the privileged elitist? And you're not even a trust fund baby. Let's the business owners elevate ourselves to higher positions. Give me a break, Shaquille.
Exactly.
Come
Hey,
on.
listen,
Hold on a second.
I've got quite a way that I can fall, and things can go all sorts of wrong for me, right? And if they do, I've had some tough years. When they do, I don't cry. Oh, government, come help me out. If you're a mole person living under in the undergrounds and stuff in Vegas,
They're called moles. I mean, homeless people.
Don't be a janitor. Do something. I don't know. Do something and get yourself out of that position. Take some responsibility.
Nick,
for your life.
No, I got
Nick, historically, who buys lottery tickets? The wealthy or the poor?
Poor people. Rich people don't buy lottery.
So isn't there truly isn't the lottery an additional tax on the poor to finance the?
Yes, but they want to contribute. It's a contribution. Okay, you got to imagine. I'm a
exactly, Nick. Just like they want to be
to society. I want to contribute to society, but I also want to feel good about myself. So hence, I go buy a lottery ticket. Or downstairs, there are thousands and thousands of people right now playing casinos and donating to the wonderful whoever owns the Orleans. I wish it was me. It looks like it's the Boyd Group, right? And so the thing is, Lee, have those thousands of people donate to the federal government. What's wrong with that?
But Nick,
I mean, they already do that.
What's wrong with it is, Nick, a lot of these people don't have the self-control, and it's ruining a lot of lives, the casinos and the lotteries.
Well,
this money can be better well spent.
Hold on a second, because I got a quick question to ask both of you.
You know what? This is the problem with you bloody conservative. I'm not going to say you're a conservative necessarily, but you are in a lot of ways. This is the problem with you bloody conservatives, right? These boring people that tell you, don't do this, don't do that. What do you want us to do? Okay, well, you're wasting your money if you go and spend it at the casino. It's my money, right? Don't drink too much. This constant crap. You know what? If you were to live your life, the 7 deadly sins, okay? We as humanity would be gone if we didn't have the 7 deadly sins, right? The 7 deadly sins is what makes us feel alive. Imagine a world without some lust in it. Imagine a world without some sloth in it. I mean, I think as a politician,
like John Lennon,
sloth in their lives.
Shaquille, I get your point.
Come on, John.
Right, then you wouldn't have farming and agriculture and excess of food, which we've got so much food we can feed to other people if we didn't go for all these things. So, but you conservatives sit there and go, let's conserve, let's hold people back from making progress, go to church once a week, come home, read the Bible, don't go to the bar, and exercise and don't drink, don't smoke, and don't gamble, don't drugs, I mean, no, we're only here once.
I've got a couple of questions.
Hey, but let's talk about the Republican solution.
This is why I have such a problem.
The Republican solution to the national debt. The Republican solution is not as good as mine.
Mark, enjoy the show.
Shut down the government. That doesn't.
I do have a quick question.
They say,
Nick,
default on our bonds.
You won't get into heaven, right? And I think to myself, what exactly is going to happen in heaven? I'm going to get up there, and God's going to say, "Listen, dude, float around the eternity for all of eternity in these white fluffy clouds with a bunch of other people who never drank, never smoked, never." I'd go out of my bloody mind. At least give me a bottle of wine or something.
Bloody Aussie. Let me tell you something. The Republicans do not have a solution to the national debt. They're saying, shut down the government, default on the bonds, make America bankrupt again. That is not a solution. I have a solution. The national lottery, that is a solution.
Biden's done that.
I've got a better solution.
Stupid Republican Party.
How about you start trading with the rest of the world?
Stupid Republican Party send the whole United States into...
Those states who have a lottery, are they doing better? Are they financially solvent?
Pardon?
So hold on a second.
Are those states with the lottery, are they financially solvent?
Who's financially solvent in the lottery?
New York State, for example. Those states that have a lottery, are they financially solvent?
The states are financially solvent, Lee. The reason why...
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious. The states cannot file bankruptcy.
Unfunded liabilities?
So they're forced to live within their means. The United States
government
can't file bankruptcy either.
No, they're
but
not.
The stupid Republicans are going to bankrupt the United States of America because what they're going to do is they're going to default on all the obligations.
That's not a solution. Buying city buildings.
Nick, why do we have unfunded liabilities? Why do states have unfunded liabilities, pension liabilities?
Republicans do not have a solution. It is
not neither of them do.
Defaulting on your obligations is not a
solution. So you're blaming this on the Republicans, right?
Absolutely. If
After
they
all
default,
the
it is their fault.
after all the BS and
Unintended.
crap that you got the Democrats caused over the last 2 years, all the money they spent, all the havoc they created, and you're blaming this on the Republicans.
Absolutely.
And
If
they've had
they
the House
default, it is their fault.
for
If they
less than a month.
default,
You
it
are
is their
such
fault,
a hypocrite.
Dan.
You're such a lying. You're such a lying hypocrite, and
How
you
do you
know
really feel, Dan?
you're
Dan,
doing
it
this.
doesn't matter.
Dan,
Dan,
hold on a
they
second.
know
I do have
Come
to
on,
ask,
hold
hold on a
saying
second.
is
And remember, the
even
Republicans and the
true.
Democrats ran up this bill. Don't
Dan,
hang it on the
Dan,
Democrats.
hey, Dan
when
and
Donald
Nick.
Trump threw America into great debt. And the reason he did that is he created tax cuts for the rich like Shaquille, who doesn't even live here, so that they didn't have to pay taxes. Donald Trump ran up the national debt too, just as Joe Biden did. And now
Hold on
the
a second.
solution
Hold on a
is don't
second.
pay your debt.
Nick,
The
see,
solution
here's
is don't
here's
pay
the
your
situation.
debt. Who do they think they
This
are?
is what this is
So
what
it's a
when
bipartisan
you
debt.
Democrats,
Don't blame it on the
when you
Republicans or the
Democrats try to
Democrats.
say
They
that
both
the
did.
tax cuts are tax cuts for the rich. This is basically what happens, right?
Yeah,
Let's
you're
say that
blaming
I
it
come
on.
across to North
you're
Carolina
blaming
and
it
I
on the
take Mark
Republicans.
Lee out, right? We go to a bar and we buy a beer, right? And then all of a sudden the bar says, hey, look, at 6 o'clock, we've got happy hour and the beers are half price, right? Now, I'm already paying for Mark, right? Because I said, hey, Mark, you're my shout. I'll buy the beers, okay? And then Mark says, well, hang on just a minute. The beers are half price now because it's happy hour. You got a 50% break because it's costing you less. And me, Mark, who hadn't contributed anything towards the bill, I didn't get anything. I should be getting some of that 50% off that you've just received. The rich get all the benefits. And eventually, what do the rich do? They go, you know what, Mark, to hell with you. I'm going to go and live in Monaco. That's what happens.
And if they're a rich Republican, what they do is they walk out of the bar and they stiff the bar owner. And that's what the Republicans are planning to do this week.
You know
That's
what?
what the Republicans
Oh,
are
my
planning to
God.
do this
And what
week.
do the
Wrong,
Democrats do?
Shaquille.
What do the
I don't know
Democrats
why
do?
you don't get
You're
the
such a
wrong.
hypocrite.
The
You don't
Democrats,
stiff the bloody
the
bar.
Democrats stiff the
hypocrite.
taxpayer. Right.
You know,
Such a hypocrite.
are the Republican Party really going to stiff the bar owner? Let's take a look. You know, they're going to
Okay.
walk out of the bar.
Well, let's see what happened.
They and the Democrats both ran up the tab. Having
In
a
December, the Democrats passed an omnibus bill and created another 1.7 trillion in debt in December, and they created this problem because they created the budget. Republicans didn't have any say in that because the Democrats controlled things, and they stuck the Republicans with that bill and the increasing debt obligation. They knew this was going to happen. They did this on purpose to set up the Republicans to blame them, just like you're doing right now.
Cry me a river, Dan.
Can I
You
ask-
know
can I
that
just
Donald
ask a
Trump
question? 'Cause
ran
I'm
up a big
fascinated.
tab by
I'm
tax
fascinated
cuts for the
with
rich.
a lot of the times.
Cry me a bloody
Donald
river.
Trump hasn't been off for
being lied
2
to.
years.
Why do you even have
he
a debt
sold,
ceiling
he
if you just
sold
keep
a
voting
bill
to
of
increase it?
lies. He sold a bill of lies to the American public. We're going to cut
Let's-
taxes and
Let's
the
blame
government and the
Trump.
GDP
Let's
is going to
blame
run
Trump
up and you
on
don't have to
what
pay
Biden
it.
did.
It was a bunch of
That
garbage.
The Democrats have been in charge for the last 2 years. They have not changed the tax situation. They have not made any meaningful change in the structure of government or the taxation situation. They've had the ability to do it. They haven't done it. Nick not blame Trump, who's been gone 2 years, on what the Democrats have done. They've been in power for the last 2 years unchecked, except by the Supreme Court. And so you can't blame them. This is all on the Democrats.
Oh no! You can blame the Republicans because the
And there's plenty of blame to go around.
They are now the party in charge. They need a solution. Their solution is to go stiff
They're
the
not the
bar.
party in charge.
That's not a solution, my friend.
They have a narrow
That's not a
majority in
solution.
the House. They are not control the Senate. They do not hold the presidency. So
And
they're
now,
not
the
in
minute they have
control.
a chance of power, what do? They stiff the bar owner. That's the
Dan?
only
Yeah, but
solution they have. Let's see if they stiff the bar
The
owner.
Democrats are just
Oh, let's see if they do that.
the
That's not-
Democrats.
Dan, do you think either party
the
cares?
Democrats are stiff. No,
That's
neither one
not a
does.
solution.
This-
Okay,
this
what
is-
the Republicans
this is all-
should do is
this
admit
is all
to the
for
American
ratings.
public
Nick is
we
saying this
have
for
no
ratings.
solution. Get McCarthy on here and let him admit he's stupid. He has no solution.
So
I
Nick,
already brought a solution to the
Nick,
table.
Nick,
I'm Mr.
Nick, let's-
Wonderful. I brought a solution. They're all downstairs waiting to contribute to the American taxpayer.
Let's just broaden your horizons a little bit. So let's just broaden your
Yeah,
horizons.
they're broke already.
Canada has issues with its debt. It's not as high. Well, no one's debt's as high as America's, but Canada has issues with their debts. Do you want to also blame the Conservatives who haven't been in power in Canada for quite a while now since Justin Trudeau took over? What about in the UK? UK's got some high-level debts. Is it the Tories' fault over there and not the Labour Party? Is it just because you're so in love with a centre-left party?
No, we're not talking about the UK. We're talking about the world's largest economy, the United States of America.
The ITU. Do you think that the ITU political parties of the world are the ones that are responsible for the high debt levels that we have in the world? That's my question to you.
The person that's responsible is the government. They're the ones who did it. Bipartisan support between the Republicans and the Democrats. Now you need solutions. The solution is, of course, what you do, create a national lottery. People are willing to contribute to that. That's a solution. This is not a solution. Let's just walk away from it.
Even if it would work, Nick, it's only to a point.
Your revenue is reliant on the mathematically challenged and stupid people. And that is probably the reason why your political persuasion, which runs all the schools, keeps dumbing down the kids.
Shaquille, what you want is the casinos to take all the money and go to you as the investor. I'm saying have the casinos and the national lottery go to the national government and pay down the debt. That is a solution.
What's wrong with that?
I don't want the money to go to you.
I have to own shares in most of the gaming companies, and I think it is fantastic that the United States is now beginning to allow sports betting and online gambling. It'd be great for the United States
as long as they receive their fair share of the revenue.
4 decades ago.
If they're doing that, where's the national tax on that? They better tax it, okay? Because the thing is, people are going to sports bet. Make sure the government takes that money and uses it to pay the national debt. That's a solution. But that's not the Republican solution.
Nick, do you really believe if you give the government more money, they're going to pay it down?
The owners, that's not a solution.
Nick,
of course they're not.
You give the government more money, they're not going to pay it down. They're just going to grow.
That's what
you can actually pay it down. I mean, you could actually.
But they won't. You are naive.
We've got plant trees. We've got racist roads. We've got racist trees. There's not enough transgender bathrooms in the world. I mean, we've got to teach transgenderism.
We'll deal with those. We'll deal with those problems later.
They will keep finding stuff. They will keep finding stuff to spend money on. They'll want to do a study to find out whether cocaine makes rats more horny than not rats without cocaine. But these are the sorts of things that you spend your money on. You think the government? You think
you've been blabbing. You've been blabbing for a half an hour. You've been blabbing for a half an hour, and you, like every other Republican, has offered not one solution.
Since when did I become a
me a solution to the national
debt? He's not even American. When I become a partisan?
That's not a solution.
You're not even American. You've been the blabbing.
That's what you're doing. It's right in front of me. I offered a solution, Counselor.
Nick,
you're just blabbing. Okay, so the great Republicans in this room, please offer a a or the conservatives.
Nick,
I'm waiting.
There are no Republicans in the room. There's one Republican dead. Lee's a Democrat. Sasha's not American, and I'm not American. And Mark Lee, when he comes back, is certainly
I didn't say that. I said conservatives. I'm waiting for the conservative answer.
Okay, so who's the conservative?
He hasn't been listening. He's been talking. I have a solution. I have a solution, Nick.
Okay.
It's spend less money.
Okay.
Balance
I
the
agree
budget.
With that solution. Dan, you and I are in the same party.
That's what the Republicans want to do.
Good.
Guess who?
I agree with that.
Guess who created the omnibus budget that ran us up over the debt limit? It wasn't the Republicans. It was the Democrats. The Republicans want to cut the spending and bring the budget back down to reasonable levels so they don't exceed the debt level.
Dan, in fairness, the wonder Republicans sign budgets that to go over the limit.
Right.
If they really believe that.
I totally agree with that.
I think they say it, but they don't act that. That's not their action.
We need to stop the corporate giveaways, the corporate welfare.
They want carve-outs for themselves, right? That they'll put all this other crack in there for themselves, and then they'll sign off on it. But
They're just as corrupt,
in my opinion, because the world actually suffers with if the US has any sorts of issues, the whole world is in a real problem, especially with the debt levels being where they are, and the fact that by the time you add in the unfunded liabilities of the United States, we're talking $200 trillion. I mean, this is all coming on the books the next 10 or 15 years. It should be the leading story in media every single day. Hang on one second. What I would suggest the United States do, and the people of America do, is to continually harass their political leaders until there is some sort of constitutional amendment to bring the debt levels into control and bring spending into control. Because you have a debt ceiling, you just vote to increase it. There's no point having a debt ceiling. What is going on is absolutely absurd, and it's going to affect everybody.
Can you explain to Nick, why does the government have any unfunded liabilities? Why don't they just fund everything like businesses do?
Well, exactly.
Because
see, that's the thing, Lee. If I was to run a company, if I came to the United States and I ran a company with these sorts of debt levels, with liabilities that I know that I'm not going to be able to fund, right? I could go to jail for it.
Could or would?
That company. You would.
Well, I've got good lawyers, so maybe I'll get away with it. I don't know.
That's a solution too. But
generally speaking, I could go to jail for running a company the way that the politicians run the country. Why are they allowed to do it? That just blows my mind.
Shaquille, because they write the laws.
Yeah, well,
but they write the laws.
But they do so, Lee.
They do so
100%.
But they do so in your name, right? These are the sorts of people that are saying, well, look, let's have a tax on unrealized capital gains, right? And they think that's great. Now, I sit here and go, oh, free market economy over in America. Awesome. I'm not a US citizen. So you guys increase your taxes on capital gains. I'll come over and buy some property or whatever, okay? Because guess what? When I sell that property, I'm not subject to capital gains in America. I'm subject to capital gains in the country that I'm a resident of. So what you're going to do is you're going to have people that live or companies that are located in tax-friendly jurisdictions that are going to go into America, buy up all the assets, okay? They're going to make the profits. No tax revenue is going to go to the United States. And you know who suffers? The everyday American person. And I don't understand why you need me, a foreigner, a documented alien, to tell you guys that that's what's happening to your country. I don't understand why more Americans are not absolutely furious, whether they be Republicans or Democrats, at the way that the government is operating. It's out of control.
That part is also true.
But this is a particularly awful situation when you're talking about $200 trillion. I mean, that figure is just the whole stock market is like 80 trillion. Like with $200 trillion. Like, are we serious? This is absurd.
Yeah. But these things have solutions. And one thing that Dan and I agree on is government spending out of control. What were we doing spending $75 billion on charging stations? We don't need charging stations. We do need the $75 billion.
Nick, were we doing? The guy that of all the people on this panel, you're the guy that voted for it. You're the guy that voted for this.
I never voted for those charging stations.
I sat down with you and I read through what the policies were going to be. And you sat there and said Donald Trump was the worst president that's ever existed, and you voted for this.
You did vote for that.
Well, I didn't vote for the charging stations at all. Okay, that was not my thing.
Biden wasn't dishonest.
Dan and I agree on the spending.
Biden didn't become the president, then all of a sudden, like Fox News tries to make out, that he went really, really left after he got there. Biden released all the things that he wanted to do, right? And I read those to you on air multiple times, and you went, "Yep, absolutely perfect. Doesn't matter what the cost is. Let's just get rid of Trump." You voted for this.
Not for the charging stations. Remember, that's corporate welfare that you corporate hacks like. Okay,
I'm not a corporate hack.
That is money that Tesla should be spending, General Motors, but not the American government. Another thing they spent money on was the chips. We are not a chip business, my friend. $100 billion for chips. Let's listen to Sasha. He's from Canada. He gives us a fresh perspective.
I'm impressed. You're all brilliant bookkeepers, but you don't have a vision. The vision is America is technically a bankrupt country because $200 billion is just too much. You know, if it would have been, let's say, $50 trillion. Okay, with 50 you may wrestle, but not with 200. So just die with dignity. Build up strong military.
Sasha, no.
Second to none. Use that military and other powers and tell each country, including Russia and China and whoever there is, okay, in a week time, you have to send so much gold, diamonds, and chemicals and whatever else we need. And we'll give you another portion of what you have to send for the following week. And this country would have to send something what US may need or so on. And that's how you get your country right. Make America great again. Here, I agree with Trump. Just go and spend. Don't worry about anything. You
wait.
Let me just respond. Let me just respond to a couple of things that Sasha said.
I got to listen to the foreign.
Firstly, I don't want to see the United States die with dignity or without. But let me just point out a couple of things. The entire worldwide supply of gold is worth $8 trillion. So even if the United States was to confiscate the entirety of the gold in the world, wouldn't make a difference. If the United States was to take all the diamonds in the world, still just a small, tiny little debt in their debt.
If right? US could accumulate all the gold in the world, the price of gold will immediately skyrocket because this is something everybody needs.
Sasha,
Sasha,
as a trader, you don't need to tell you what happens when somebody tries to corner the market.
Can we stop the foreign interference?
What I will say is it's not as dire. For those of us that are not actually American, it's not actually that dire for us because the US has got, like all governments, a lot of power. They can confiscate the wealth of their citizens. So there is actually $200 trillion out there. Okay, what does it work out? $500,000-$600,000 per person. They can start confiscating your real estate. They can start confiscating your businesses and all that. And guess what, Nick? Then the money comes to people
listen.
Okay, so if you have any sense of pride in your country, any sense of patriotism, hold your government to account.
Okay, foreign interference. Let me tell you something. We are not $200 trillion in debt. Okay,
you have unfunded liabilities right now.
Those are unfunded liabilities for Social Security and Medicare, and there are solutions to both of those. On Social Security, what we have to do, and people don't want to hear it, is up the Social Security age.
Just cut off the old parts, right?
66 to 75, and they've already.
Why 75? Why not 85?
Okay,
why not 85? Why not 90?
Hey, do you guys want solutions, or you just want that? This is a solution. You up the Social
that's
Security
easy for you.
That's not a
solution, right?
That's not a solution, Nick. That is you boomers. That is you boomers who have had.
Do you want to get rid of the phony $200 trillion?
Nick, I thought Social Security was a lockbox.
Say that the millennials and the Gen Zs. Guess what, kids? After we screwed up our finances. Not only are you going to have to pay it off, but you're going to have to work longer. You're going to get paid less. You can't afford to buy a home, and now you can't retire.
Find me a bloody river. Oh,
yeah,
poor young person who has extended life expectancy. Poor young person who's going to live to 100. Now the retirement age is 75. This is a solution.
Really? Are we living
Cry me a river.
Now
all of a sudden, that $200 trillion disappears
because we can't afford to buy it.
Nick, wasn't it supposed to be put away in a safe local?
So what happens? You go, well, we'll just open up the floodgates.
Don't listen to the foreigners interfering with our government. Don't listen to Sasha. Oh, we're bankrupt. We're not bankrupt, Sasha. All we have to do is listen to the Social Security age.
Let's ask Sasha directly. Sasha, you're a trader.
Tell Ukraine to file
bankruptcy. If you were to look at the financial report of the United States and it was a company, would you short the stock?
Okay, listen to me. Up the Social Security age to 75.
Sasha, if you saw the financial state of America and that was a company, would you short the stock?
Depends what you do with that stock. Depends what you do. You have a business and you understand and you know how to run that business. It's one story. You may buy that stock. But you have idiots who are fighting just with each other. I don't think that I would buy the stock. I would probably short.
Here's what I'd do.
Short
Here's
it.
what I think we should do. You'd
There's
set up a company in
solutions right
America.
in front of you.
You would short the stock with
Mr.
absolutely
Wonderful
no
here.
tax.
I
Listen,
Leverage
let's
the
face something. You
Everything
have
else.
all
And
kind of skill.
if it goes wrong, you just shut the company down, hand it back to the government, and say, all I did was exactly what you guys
foreigners
do.
who are interfering with our financial.
You've
By the
probably
way, the
seen a
foreigners
lot
that are
of
interfering
different
with our
reviews on
finances and our
internet,
government
on
is
Yahoo,
part of the
any
problem.
side. 10 most beautiful cities in the world, 10 most countries that all people would like to live, or 20 some beautiful cities around the world. So US has none, not even a single city, not even a single place where people would like to go and live and retire and enjoy themselves or so on. Nothing, absolutely. So what makes
There's
you
Orlando.
think is such a great
Orlando. The villages in Orlando.
military complex. That's what makes America great again. Concentrate on something what works. Forget about
it works.
The United States is a beautiful country.
Age.
The United States is a beautiful country. Unfortunately, they're the wealthiest poor country in the world, but that's because of bad management. And there are cities that could be beautified. There are beautiful parks and the natural resource of America, the agricultural wealth of America. If it was run properly, if the wealth was appropriately shared with the people to whom it belongs, right? Like a commonwealth, like people who live in the country who are entitled to that. If it was shared properly, if the place was run properly,
not illegal aliens.
Again, be a powerhouse. Donald Trump couldn't do it because he thought he could fix all this shit on his own. He can't. But certainly the people should demand more from their government.
But
and I love the United States, so I don't want to see them fail. Like you said,
there's a lot of hypocrisy about crying that there is unfunded liabilities of $200 trillion and what to do or so on.
Well, only because we have a too generous Social Security system. Our Social Security system and our Medicare system are big giveaways.
Nick,
and you can fix that right now if you want.
You know what?
Wasn't Social Security self-funded?
I don't say it.
You put it in, there's a lockbox, and you get the money back later.
Related to U.S. debt, primarily the fact that most of the American people are trying to avoid paying
Been
taxes.
better off.
And they're trying
No, they love to pay taxes.
Sasha, why wouldn't they?
They love
Why
to
wouldn't
pay
they?
taxes.
Who's going to sit there and go, oh, government, you want half?
Downstairs,
Please, come and take half of what I've earned. Who's going to do that? But you know what? Back to Nick for a second. Nick, these unfunded liabilities, okay, that you want to palm off on my generation, some of the leading...
No, I'm not palming anything off on your generation. I'm just not giving you big giveaways.
Yeah, I think we
People
should
like
palm it
Milton
off on
Friedman warned about this. He even did a television series called Free to Choose. And in that television series, he warned the Fed, Democrats and Republicans and all different people from all walks of the political spectrum in the United States that this is going to be a really bad deal for the next generation, and it's not going to be able to be...
It's not a bad deal for the next generation.
And guess what's happened? Now it's not sustainable, and now you guys want to say, listen, we're the boomers. We got to have flower power, run around the country with, in these combi vans, they smoke dope and protest, and our women were going around to Woodstock, topless and all that sort of stuff. But you kids, by the way, don't drink, don't smoke, don't do any drugs, don't gamble. You've got to be responsible, because now that we're all a little bit older and decrepit, now we're going to tell you to be all responsible, right? Protest the war, do all that sort of stuff. You got Yoko Ono and the Beatles sitting there doing nude pictures and all that sort of stuff. You guys had a bloody ball. And now you want us to pay for it, so that's your solution. The generation was warned over and over and over that you couldn't afford to do this. Now, guess what, kids?
No.
I've worked my way through college, and these kids are like, if I go get a part-time job, I can't afford to pay for college.
No.
You get to 22 years old.
Yeah,
you want to buy a house,
Georgia.
you want a partner and have children.
Go to Georgia, get good grades.
No.
It was 3 times the annual income to buy a house. Now it's 3 to 5 times your annual income as a deposit just I want a house. And now you want to try and get us.
I've already told you how to get free tuition.
Cry me a river, Shaquille. Cry me a river.
Yeah,
it's not a bad deal.
I don't need to cry me a river. I'm not the one living over there. But what you're doing to the millennials and Gen Zs is not fair.
It is fair. Okay, first of all, you got to get rid of this foreign interference. We're not 200 trillion in the hole. We're 30 trillion. Okay, all the other stuff that they're garbage talk about is unfunded liabilities for super duper promises on Social Security and Medicare. We can easily get rid of that. Up the retirement age to 75. And the reason why is that you're living longer. And so that young person who's weeping about the older retirement age, the fact is they're going to live to 100, 120.
You've got a pension epidemic, which is forcing younger people's life expectancies to
created the medicine that allows you to live longer.
Why don't we just create it? So
we created that problem. So up that security age, Social Security age. Number 2, reduce the Medicare benefits, not all this Medicare giveaway stuff. Okay, and lift the cap. They don't even lift the cap. Rich people like you and Donald Trump had an opportunity to come clean to the public, but he didn't because he doesn't pay income taxes and he doesn't want to pay Social Security taxes. If you lift the cap on Social Security,
it
will be solved.
Excuse me, just 1 second. Just 1 second on that. Did Dr. Jill and Joe Biden, right? Did they? Is it Jill? Yeah. Did they have a few book sales last year? Oh, I think they did. And did they put that through an S corporation? Oh, I think they did.
And did they pay Social Security, Medicare? The answer is no, they didn't.
Did he manage to dodge $750,000 in payroll taxes? Is that what happened?
This could be hard for you to understand. Rich people, Democrat or Republican, are greedier than
No, but you're picking on Donald Trump. So I just want to make sure
because it is Donald Trump and Joe Biden.
Right. Yeah. Just want to make sure that
both of them are greedy. They're greedier than Sasha. So you're right. What they did is they escaped the Social Security system.
Not getting personal.
Exactly what you're saying. And the American public is too stupid to realize that.
Well, let's talk about Sasha Starr's Canada. Do you think, Sasha? Do you honestly think? Could you put your hand on your heart and say that Justin Trudeau doesn't absolutely know all the loopholes and completely abuse the tax code, or do you think that he sits there and voluntarily hands money over? Because you just said that the Americans don't want to pay tax. Well, do you think Justin Trudeau goes, look, I could take this deduction, but no, I'm not going to because I better contribute a bit more? Or does he sit down with his tax lawyers, like I do with mine, and say, this might be on the grey area. Do you think this would be allowed? Do you think this would be okay? Yeah, we'll file it. We'll just. Well, what's the risk here? Do you think the tax office will probably say it's okay, or do you think I'll have to fight it, or do you think I'll have to litigate it, or do you think they'll just decline it? Yeah, we'll put it under miscellaneous. Let's do that. What do you reckon? Did you reckon Justin Trudeau is doing what I do, or do you reckon he's doing what you suggest Americans should do?
Well, listen, Justice Trudeau is a very special case. If you would institutionalize you're a poor man. If you want to institutionalize somebody like Trudeau,
he's a nutcase.
I would advise you to do that. It's a lost case, absolutely.
I agree. He's a nutcase.
That's not quite what Sasha said.
I agree both.
Okay, so we're back to the main premise. Conservatives.
Yes.
I've offered a solution to fund
national
the
lottery.
Debt. I've offered solutions to make Social Security solvent again. Now conservatives,
because they're all short-term band-aids.
Defaulting on our debt, other than defaulting on our debt, because that's the only thing you can think of, is walk out of the bar and stiff the bar owner. Show me a solution.
Nick, those are all short-term band-aids. They're not going to work in the long term. Congress is just going to take whatever money you give them and grow more and use it for other purposes. Social Security was set up as a lockbox.
Here's the difference. Let me explain the difference.
You're stolen money.
Let me explain the difference between my ideas and Nick's ideas.
You don't have ideas.
And how I do things versus Nick, right? If I am fortunate enough to have children, I will pay for them to be privately tutored.
Well, there are more stupid people than not rich people. I guess that makes sense.
That my money can afford. What I would not do is send them to a country or to a state that I've never contributed to in order to take advantage of their taxpayers. I wouldn't do that. And when I want to make money, I either invest in companies or I start companies. But what Nick wants to do is Nick goes, you know what? I'm going to be outsmarted by the by the banking industry. People like Shaquille who are entrepreneurial, young, that really want to get out there and make a difference. So what we're going to do, because I'm an old boomer, right, who's had a dream run through life, I'm going to get government to say, Shaquille, you don't do it, we'll do it. Us, the government, are going to take your idea, take over it, and then redistribute the income to me. So you want that money because you're walking around watching all the people put $100 notes in the slot machines downstairs, and you want some of that revenue? Well, I want some of that revenue. I'm going to do it the free market way by investing in shares and developing the industry. You want to do it by using government, right? That's the difference. I don't trust government. You do.
You don't trust government, yet it was the government that started the Social Security that you just complained about that you're not getting or they're not getting. So whether you trust it or not,
I'm not a U.S. citizen.
I'm not interested in receiving Social Security benefits in Australia.
And I said,
and plus he doesn't.
75. Hey, Shaquille, why don't you just say, well, it says 75. I don't trust
frankly,
government.
You don't need
why don't
it either.
You opt out of it. Why don't you say, look, I don't want Social Security.
You know what, Nick?
We should allow an opt-out system. So
yes,
people like you that are so ethically above board will just opt out of the system.
You absolutely should. You should allow an opt-out system, because if people say, I will never, ever draw from the Social Security system, they should be able to opt out and not have to pay for it.
Oh, no. It doesn't work that way.
Where's the fairness for the Mormons, for example?
The
Mormons up in Utah, they don't rely on Social Security benefits. The Mormon Church will actually say to somebody who's out of work, you come and work for the church temporarily, okay? We'll help support you. You come and work with us temporarily, okay, and until we get you back on your feet. Most Mormons, unless they're disabled or they're vets or something like that, they've earned it. Most Mormons will not use Social Security when they're younger and they're fit and healthy, right? They'll rely on their community, but they still have to contribute to the Social Security system. Is that fair on the Mormons?
Rich people like you,
there's all sorts of other
Bill Gates should be able to opt out of Social Security. Why isn't Bill Gates collecting?
He's in Australia.
Why is Bill Gates collecting Medicare? They should be allowed to opt out.
Why are you?
I had a lot. I'm not. The thing is, a lot of these wealthy people are not allowed to opt out. Why don't we have an opt-out system? Show me the reason why.
I'll tell you why.
Again, that's a solution.
What you want,
but you haven't created a solution. All you do is gravel on.
What you want is you want people to contribute to a system.
All you do is complain about the government. You don't want solutions. All you do is complain. Blah, 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 blah,
you want the rich people to
bad, rich people
more than they'll ever draw from that system, right? And then you've got Mark that'll come across and say, well, if you don't do that,
Shaquille in your brain,
the climate's going to die and the animals are going to die and everything's going to be mayhem unless rich people pay a bit more. That's what
Nick, I would like to expand on your idea of lottery. Nick, why don't we go with the world lottery? The first prize, $100 billion, give or take. And people, for example, one day a month, and that has to be predetermined, which exact day, all over the world, all people have internet and payment systems. So it should be relatively easy for people all over the world to buy ticket in that.
That's great. I'm all for it. Sasha, we can fund our network. We'll have the Pod TV World Lottery.
Exactly, and we'll got half of the proceeds to US government.
Well, Sasha, I think what you should do is flip this around, right? What we should do is actually have a lottery that is run by the people, right, off the world. There's 7 billion office, okay? We put up the prize money, do a little bit of advertising, and countries can come in and buy the lottery tickets. What we say is, look, if you win the lotto, we'll pay your national debt. Right, so if America wins the lotto, right, there's 200 trillion. Now the fact is, we'll do exactly what they do when the government runs a lotto. We'll take half the money for ourselves. So all the countries will have to buy these lotto tickets from us. We take at least half of it straight off the top, and then whatever country wins, we take half of that and then give them what's left. So the United States would win a $200 trillion lottery, and you and I would walk away with 300 trillion between us.
You can use buy now, pay later.
We like that entrepreneurial spirit.
Buy now, pay later. Buy now, pay later. And that's where US has to have the super strong military force. So those who buy but not pay later or are late with their payment or don't pay at all, here comes U.S. military force and reminds, okay, it's about time.
See, there you go, Nick. That's your solution.
I'm all for
So
it.
basically,
World lottery.
when the
run
debt
by
collector,
Pod TV
when the debt
network.
collector knocks on the door, you want the country to basically have a bazooka and go, what? Come in if you're there.
The Rambo way.
Hey, you guys are now thinking. You're thinking great thoughts. World lottery ran by
I'm
the
not.
Pod TV
I'm
network.
not agreeing
Become
with any
your first trillionaire off the lottery through the Pod
First
TV
trillionaire off
network.
the lottery.
Send
We're gonna
Shaquille the
provide
money.
that.
He's an
That's right.
associate.
Send it-
We violate
send it to
violate
me.
laws here in the US.
And then what I'll do is I'll
Money,
take
Nick.
all the money and I'll run away to Mars or something.
No, but I did have a quick question, Nick, and it was actually based on because I was listening to even backstage and everything. But we're talking about accountability. We're talking about the government. We're talking about the lottery. By the way, Nick, you need to go visit the hood in Las Vegas. There is a hood in Las Vegas. If you haven't had a chance, go there and check it out. And all
I
in that
can't
space.
wait.
Yeah, go visit it. It's interesting.
During the day.
By way, I was just there about 3 or 4 years ago, and you're right. There's a lot of poverty in Vegas, way more than there needs to be. But the question I had for you, really quickly, is what are we thinking about? And maybe she's going to put AOC on there as well. But that's what I was going to get to. Marjorie Taylor Greene has been named to the Accountability Committee, so she's going to be in charge of the Accountability Committee because that was one of those trades that were put out there and everything. Maybe she's going to appoint AOC, so we can have both Marjorie and AOC in the Accountability.
Really? Oh wow, that theater you can't miss.
They're not
hey, you know what we need to do, Mark? We need to send somebody to Washington to film that. That has got to be great.
I'd watch
theater.
that.
AOC and Marjorie Taylor Greene in the same room together, and the amount of
That's gonna be
intelligence
fun
that beams
TV.
from those people
To be honest with
beam
you-
a great light across the
To be
world.
honest with you, I actually don't
Make a
have
pay-per-view.
What?
Pay-per-view.
Oh yeah,
Come on,
we'll do
he has
pay-per-view.
finance to
We have the ability. We can do a
I actually
pay-per-view.
don't. I actually don't have a problem.
Okay, we need
with
to
this.
send
I
you to
think-
Washington to film that and talk to these people. I mean, the
You don't have a problem with that,
just
Shaquille?
came to town,
No,
baby.
I actually
The
don't. I
circus
don't
is
have a
in
problem with
town.
AOC.
Sell those
I
tickets.
don't have a problem with
Lee.
AOC and Marjorie Taylor Greene being on there at all. I think you should probably add a few more crazies because look, let's be honest here, right? Sasha's got a case of, like, he's got all these alcohol spirit bottles behind him, right? You guys have got whatever you've got behind you, right? American history and all that. So when it comes to regulating alcohol, let Sasha and I do it, okay? We don't need you because you guys just going to say it's banned. So let Sasha and I do it. When it comes to gambling, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Let Sasha and I do it. You're seeing one of Sasha's profile pictures. He's got the chips on the roulette table. Let Sasha and I do it. But when it comes to running an accountability office, you don't want the conservative people who are actually accountable. Let the people who actually know what it's like to not be accountable, right, to really live life on the edge, let them be in charge of it. I think that's a good idea. My views.
But Shaquille, the other thing that I feel
listen
Well,
is
you
that,
might
and
know.
I know we're
let the
winding down,
foreigners run the American
but
government.
Shaquille, the
You
other thing
go
that I
run
was curious
Australia.
about,
You go run
you notice
Canada.
all the
We
no
will run
smoking
the United
campaigns, right?
States
They're
of
always run
America.
by people that don't smoke. But if you want some diversity, why isn't there more smokers involved in the health campaigns against smoking? Right? You need to have a broad spectrum of views, okay, on these things. And so I think it's very important that you have the most irresponsible people that you possibly can have.
Okay,
Right?
for
Well, this is a
our
ridiculous
listeners
day,
around
right?
the world, especially in the United States, notice the foreign interference already in our U.S. government between Australia and Canada. They're
This
interfering.
is the
Lord
first
forbid
day.
the Russians
So-
and everybody.
Your luck is
Anything
Yeah.
these guys
They're interfering with our media.
reverse it.
They're interfering with our media. There they are.
They're not serious.
Aussie and
None of
the
this.
Canadian interfering with media. And they're interfering with our government.
Shaquille,
That's
just
not
one
what
quick
they want
question
to run
before we
our
get on out of
government.
here because it's almost time to
They
get
want
on
to
out of
run our
here
government.
and
They won't
everything.
let us
Well, I
But
mean,
one quick
look,
question.
you don't go into a church, right, and expect somebody who's an atheist to be running the place, do you? You expect somebody who actually has some experience in the subject matter to be there, right? You don't want to run into a convention of Democrats and find out there's a Republican running the place. You expect who's an experienced Democrat to be there.
Our
I think that somebody
$100
who's
trillion
experienced in not being
economy,
accountable
our
should be
$100 trillion economy
accountable.
is run by
Democrats
Americans,
would be better
not
off
by
if
Australia.
the Republicans were
Lord.
running the party.
Shaquille, and I know we're
Dan
winding
Worthington's
down.
proposal is that you should put a Republican in charge of the DNC. I love it.
Yeah, but Republican in charge of the DNC and
That
Democrat in
works.
charge of the RNC could be a great idea. But as
Do
we
it
get
the
ready to
other way,
wind down
too, they
and
might
all
get some
in that line,
cooperation.
yeah, we just got to reverse them and everything. And maybe we need to, because the other thing I was going to get to is You gotta love it when there's a new Chicago Bears stadium that's about to be built near O'Hare, so they're going to spend billions, if not millions, of dollars in that space, and they're going to be interesting to see whether they actually bring.
Who needs a lottery? They're rolling in dough.
Yeah, huh?
Who needs a lottery in Chicago? They're rolling in dough.
Of course they are.
New stadium.
Chicago's got so much money. They've got a fantastic mayor.
Taxpayers, of course.
Absolutely awesome.
Well, they got a fantastic mayor. They've got a new general manager for the Bears, who's
Are you serious?
African
They've
American.
got a
There's
fantastic
a lot of conversation around that. They've got all kinds of stuff going on
You
in
consider
Chicago.
Lori Lightfoot to be a great mayor, do you?
Who?
Lori Lightfoot.
Man, I haven't been following his politics enough, but I do have a great video that I'm gonna bring on. I won't bring it on today. Maybe I'll bring it on tomorrow. But it was a great picture. And Dan, you're gonna enjoy this one if I bring it on tomorrow. But it's a picture. It's a TikTok video. It is of Biden at a the church that Warnock is the pastor of. And you want to talk about somebody looking incredibly stiff? Because that's what the whole video was about, is the comments about how
I don't want to see, as long as there's no young girls involved, because I don't want to see Joe Biden stiff around young girls. But let's hear from Pastor Warnock.
That's terrible.
It is horrible.
Beat that out.
Let's see if I can find the video and all of those lines.
Too late.
Too late. I sent it live on air.
Yep, I will send it to you, and we'll do it tomorrow.
Oh, you can't play it now?
Biden looks like an idiot
now. Let's see if I can find it now.
On TikTok.
How long is it, Mark?
It's like about a minute, if that.
Are we at the hour mark?
I see that while you're looking for that, Lee Newton Rhodes in New York introducing me to, I don't know whether that says strong or street moonshine, but it's certainly moonshine, which I had the displeasure of trying. I was very excited when we first started getting moonshine in Australia. I thought, it's going to be awesome. It's American. It's going to be great. I don't know how you drink it, but let's just give it a go. And I just went, that's quite something, America. That's
knock you on your as you bat, butt, right?
Did it catch you totally off guard?
I did.
I think we're moving over, so we're going to save. So tune in tomorrow to hear from Pastor Warnock and a very stiff Biden. Is that?
That's what we're going to do. Tune in tomorrow. You're going to hear from Biden and a very stiff Biden. It's incredibly stiff, as well as Pastor Warnock, who is actually, there's a lot of swaying and a lot of other things going on, as is often the case at a Baptist church. And Biden was looking like he didn't know where he was or.
Didn't he grow up in a black church when he was little?
He's looking normal.
He was looking normal. Is that what you said?
Are we at the hour mark? Do we have
at the hour?
We're over the hour.
We're over the hour.
Nick, actually, Biden is evidence. What's wrong with raising pension for people to 75 or 80 or 85?
There we go.
This is an example.
No, but see, Sasha, that's the thing. They're talking about doing this, right? They'll lift the retirement age to 120 on my generation, but the politicians will probably continue to do what they do. As soon as you leave politics, you get your politicians' pension, you get your politicians' medical care, you get your politicians' travel care, etc., etc.
Hey, run your own country, mate.
Right,
I'm making Social Security great again. Run your own country, mate. I'm making Social Security great again.
Yeah,
okay.
You're making my generation. You're making my generation.
You're not on our Social Security system. So,
but on that note, we can get out of here. We'll show that video on tomorrow, but it's time for us to get on out of here.
Fuck off.
Can't wait.
I think you should opt out.